Good morning. That's the time of day that I'm recording this, and I don't know when I'll post this, so still, good morning. And I've been trying to think about recording this for a little minute now, and I finally got a chance this morning to do that. So I ain't gonna hold you. I'm in the field of study of motivation theory associated with educational psychology, which I study. Things like applied cognition and development. But going back to motivational theory, I study attachments and detachments and relationships in general. But as we describe, we call them attachments and detachments. And part of this will be steeped in research a little bit. Part of this will be personal. And one thing I noticed about myself that relates to the research is I like to describe myself as a wanderluster, which is when I engage with people, particularly of the opposite gender. I'm a male. I'm a heterosexual male. I can dream, fantasize, think about the possibilities, not only within those seconds, the kind of like things you see in movies and short films about meeting people and visualizing the times you could have possibly, but even kind of going through these kind of like crushing periods that in my youth I found myself getting caught up in, but as I aged and learned how to navigate not only mainly my own feelings or my own mind around my feelings, learned how like it's something that occurs within me, but that may not be in reality. And I brought this up as a personal story to extend like this is backed by research as far as men having more romantic ideas and thoughts and actions when it comes to attachments versus women who are more focused on commitment and loyalty and the contextual nature of the relationship. But also, I think this conversation for me goes beyond just like my personal, I'll say, tussle with being a wanderluster or wanderlust, because this is not something that black men are oftentimes imagined as. Like black men, especially in a conversation of attachments, detachments, are really thought of in this kind of carnal, sexual, hypersexual nature. So the idea that black men would be seen as a wanderlust or romantic is something that is much further from people's tongue than thinking about his phallus, his penis, and what he always wants to do with it, no matter who it is, what it is, etc. And I think that really is not backed by reality. Of course, there are people who will try to pull out examples of the worst to fit the stereotypes of, sexual, hypersexual, or kind of just being brutish even when it comes to relationships. But I know for me, music alone is one of those things where, like, have you heard the depth of feelings that black men are experiencing in relationships and attachments, just indicative of the cultural music that they produce, especially when you think of blues, soul, jazz, rhythm and blues, and then more of the hip hop that has conversations about attachments, relationships, not in the way that people oftentimes think of. Like, I didn't just become like a wanderlust or wanderluster in within a cultural container that didn't allow it as a black man. So it's just something to think about, man. Like I had some situations, where that came back up. I'm getting up in my age a little bit, not too far. I'm not too old. I'm not old at all, really, when you think about in years. But in dog years, when you think about understanding yourself, understanding how relationships go, it's something that you have to be aware of if this is something that affects you or something that is a trait of yours. It's not, or a state that you find yourself in. But I just think it's something more to think about, when it comes to black men, when it comes to men in general, when it comes to attachments and how it's related to, those romantic feelings that we can really get wrapped up in. It's in our psychology, it's in our psyche to get wrapped up in these kind of romantic wanderlust feelings. And they're not always, again, rooted in reality and material and empirical. And that's where we get ourselves in trouble. And as I become an older gentleman, I like to think of myself. I like to, recognize and kind of really laugh off whenever I find myself in those wanderlusting thoughts and feelings about people who we may have not had that kind of engagement, or these are just, my thoughts and emotions leading me down a rabbit hole of wanderlust that I need to go ahead and grab the rope and come on up to the surface of reality and just keep on doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's a good place to be in as a man, but I remember being a tender teenager and finding myself like, how do I have this person so intensely in a feeling, or why do I have such intensive feeling about a person I really don't feel like I feel that way about? So you find yourself down the road with a person that you really don't want to be with when you're a wanderluster, because it's just the thoughts and emotions of the possibilities and our little season of dreams and fantasy and nothing's impossible. And this person is just a dreamy, non-vocal person that's in the kind of soap opera haze that we all know that comes with those kind of dreamy vignettes of just, skipping in a park, picnicking on the beach kind of stuff. That's all the kind of wanderlust stuff that I'm talking about. I think I'm kind of meandered. I'm starting to meander a little bit, but hey, man, black men can wanderlust. Black men are wanderlusters. Black men are romantic. That's the whole point of this. Y'all take it easy. Appreciate y'all listening. Peace.